Welcome to the Weather Guru podcast live for Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. Thank you for joining me. We're going to be looking at the current weather conditions that are affecting the U.S., the watches and warnings, and then we're going to get into the tropical updates that are available. We have two areas of interest in the eastern Pacific, as well as some tropical waves that are becoming stronger in the far eastern Atlantic. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about the U.S. conditions here in the lower 48 and what's going on there as well. Thank you for joining me once again. Now, right now, we're looking at conditions in the west. Extreme heat continues. The ridge building in the west has brought extreme heat to Big Sky country of Montana, as well as Idaho and eastern Oregon. These areas are under an excessive heat warning, as well as a red flag warning for dry and hot and dusty conditions. This will continue to last through the next 2 days as we go toward the weekend, though it should subside and we get back to normal temperatures. Heat advisories continue in effect with North Dakota and the northern plains of northern mountains of Utah and Nevada, as well as the central valleys of California. San Joaquin Valley and the southern high deserts and low deserts of California continue to be under excessive heat warnings and watches. So if you're in Vegas, or if you're in Arizona, the Grand Canyon Rim Country, be very careful, take precautions. Severe thunderstorm watches continue in Arizona, and we're going to show you those a little bit later on the satellite. Now here is Tropical Storm Bud. This is the later system here that's affecting the eastern Pacific. It's way out there in the eastern Pacific, several hundred miles southwest of the Baja California region. Tropical Storm Bud does look very healthy right now for a tropical storm. The Hurricane Center gives it winds of 40 miles an hour. Pressure is down to 1,007 millibars and is moving 14 west-northwest at 16 miles an hour. So it's moving fairly quickly up the eastern Pacific chain here, not affecting any land areas, but this area, it will continue to maintain its strength here. It's the second tropical storm of the East-North Pacific hurricane season, and both seasons are going to continue to get active in both the eastern Pacific as well as the North Atlantic, the eastern Atlantic, as we get into August. The second week of August is the week that we're looking at. Second and third week of August is the week that we're looking at for activity to pick up as the Saharan dust layer is going to be easing up, and when La Nina conditions continue to prevail. So Tropical Storm Bud may not hit land. It's going to continue to go out here, possibly go out in the cooler waters and subside. It's expected to remain a tropical storm here as far as the forecast discussion here. This is in the eastern Pacific, and it's supposed to die out within the next 3 to 4 days and become a post-tropical remnant low and just dissipate sometime later on next week. By Monday, it'll be dissipated. But Tropical Storm Bud is the second named storm in the eastern Pacific here, and as you can see, it is pretty healthy for a tropical storm with plenty of convection in all four quadrants, and winds are at 40 miles an hour. So this is the strongest that it will be, a 40 to 45 mile an hour storm, and it will dissipate as we get into next week. Now, we also have no tropical activity in the Atlantic, Caribbean, or Gulf of Mexico. Like I said, that's expected to change as we get into the second week of August. We're going to have some waves come through the Caribbean that could be a possible next named storm, which is going to be Debbie. So just want to give you a heads up for that. As you can see, the Atlantic-wide combo forecast here, we have nothing. We have these two waves here. Now, this is still being affected by the Saharan dust layer that's in the air. But this dust layer is going to subside after the first week of August, and that's when that next wave off of Africa is going to be coming in to the eastern Caribbean, and that's when we could get Debbie that's going to be making its way into the Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico that second week of August, according to the models that we've been seeing. Elsewhere, we have a bunch of showers here associated with the Central American gyre that's affecting Nicaragua, Honduras, and Costa Rica. Some showers down in Panama, and then some showers up in the Mexico mountains here that's related to this trough here, this elongated trough, stationary trough that's bringing showers to Florida, Georgia, etc. And there's Bud out there in the Pacific. So that's the tropical update. Now, I want to get you into the next area here, which is going to be the I want to get you into the next area here, which is going to be the data from from the radar scope here. I want to get into the warnings and watches here. We have severe thunderstorm warnings that is affecting the Idaho area. Most of these warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, have to do with hail, for up to 1 inch hail in diameter and 60 mile an hour winds. This is in Idaho, so if you're in the Boise, Idaho area, Eagle, Idaho area, be very careful here. Severe thunderstorm warning, 60 mile an hour wind gusts and quarter size hail, and these hail damages, the higher the updraft speeds, the more bigger the hail, basically is the general rule. And so with 60 mile an hour wind gusts and quarter size hail, this could bring damage to vehicles. So expect wind damage to roof siding and trees. Protect property if you're in Idaho, Spring Shores, Lucky Peak, and those areas just to the north of Boise, Idaho. We continue on. We have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings in Pima and Pinal County, Arizona. This is just to the south east of the Chandler, Phoenix, Arizona area. So if you're in Tucson area and up into the mountains of Tucson and Catalina and those areas in Casa Adoblas, we have 1-inch hail with 60-mile-an-hour winds here for the Oro Valley area of Arizona, north of Tucson, directly north of the Tucson metro area. Now keep in mind, this is also part of the monsoonal flow here that we're experiencing. So these showers will continue to propagate in the same areas. These showers are currently moving toward the southwest, south and southwest, but they will continue to propagate in effect and train over the same areas here. We're looking at the severe thunderstorm warnings in the area. Now we also have severe thunderstorm warnings back east in Pennsylvania for Center, Clinton, and Lycoming counties here in central Pennsylvania, just off the I-80 turnpike there, the Pennsylvania Turnpike, excuse me. This is also for a severe thunderstorm warning for hail. This hail is a little bit smaller than out west. It's only up to a quarter inch, 0.75 inch. But still, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. You can expect damage to roof siding and trees. Once again, for Center County, Lycoming County, north central Pennsylvania off the turnpike, heading toward Williamsport, leaving State College on 99 could be a little bit rough here. And you can see it trying to bow echo out here a little bit here. So the winds are gusting out here in this out gust front here. So if you're coming on the Pennsylvania Turnpike for between State College and Williamsport, so be very careful there for lightning, hail, and severe storm warning for Center County and those other counties that I mentioned as well. So as I zoom out here, you can see this is all part of a line of showers here that's moving through New York, upstate New York as well. And there is also a severe thunderstorm warning in the central New York, up just north of Binghamton, New York, for 1/2-inch hail here. And the speed, they're moving at 20 knots, so these are moving very fast here. As I zoom in here, you can see here Triangle, Whitney Point, Nanticoke, New York. Once again, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Radar indicated these seem to be the primary threats here as these line of storms move through the central valleys of New York and down through Pennsylvania as well. So this is the area here. Even Pittsburgh back here is getting some showers here that's being affected here. So those are the severe thunderstorm warnings we have. We also have one down toward Virginia and North Carolina border. This is in central border. If you're coming up I-85, South Hill, Henderson, North Carolina into South Hill, Virginia. These storms have been a history of producing hail, and there's also a history of producing strong straight line winds here. So come like I-85 into Virginia from North Carolina, from Henderson, North Carolina, up South Hill, Alberta, McKinney, Dinwiddie, even Petersburg could be getting this. Virginia could be getting this in the next 35 minutes here as the cells move across here. But we have a severe thunderstorm warning once again for Northampton, Mecklenburg County, Lundberg County, and Brunswick County in south central Virginia here, Alberta, South Hill, up I-85. Be very careful. These storms are producing heavy hail and strong winds above 60 miles an hour here. And this one cell that we're looking at as I zoom out here, these are all going to be heading between I-85 and I-95. Could even get in about another hour and a half. So places like Emporia, up towards Petersburg, and Richmond, Virginia, on the southern suburbs there on 295. Be very careful there, coming through Chester and up by the airport there. These showers are moving toward the northeast here as they continue to accelerate here. Even Danville, back toward Danville and Mount Airy, North Carolina, you guys have been getting a lot of rain. So those cells right there, as you zoom out, you can get the wider range. This kind of scattered, typical summertime pattern here of thunderstorms. You get these scattered pop-up showers that can produce those hail and gusty winds, and also those tornadoes could be possible. Tornado threat is low. Like I said, these are mostly hail and straight line wind threats on the East Coast as well as the West Coast here. And those are all the severe storm warnings we have. Most of them are in Arizona, Oregon, Idaho, North Carolina, and Virginia here, and a bunch of them in Canada. We can take a look at the ones in Canada here. Let's see. The ones in Canada are in basically are out west here. This is out toward, let's see, this is in Grand Prairie. This is out toward Alberta province and Saskatchewan province out here, in British Columbia province out here, Prince George, British Columbia, and so Dawson Creek, British Columbia. So if you're out in those areas and maybe some of the ski resorts and the Canadian Rockies, be very careful here. These storms continue to affect the British Columbia and Alberta provinces here. Those are most of the severe thunderstorm warnings that are outside of the country here, but I just want to make you aware of those, and also the tornado warnings also in Canada too as well. We can take a look at those too. For those of you who may be visiting in the summer. Let's see. This here is a tornado warning, I believe, for Smith Falls and Carrollton province. This is up in northern Ontario province here, so be very careful here. This is toward northeast Ontario province here, just to the east of Ottawa, Canada here. So be very careful. There's a tornado warning here in effect for Orleans and Ottawa, just to the south of Ottawa here, southwestern provinces of Ottawa, that doesn't expire here in 1 hour and 25 minutes. Dangerous and potentially life-threatening situation here are possible here, as rotation has been detected here in Ottawa, just south of Ottawa, Canada here. So just we'll just look at, for the purposes here, let's just look at the velocity here and see what's going on here. This radar site is kind of far away, but you can see, yes, we do have those broad rotational characteristics here outlined by the red, away from the greens, inbound toward the radar there. So they do have something going on there in Ottawa. But this, just to give you a wide scope here, we have those severe thunderstorm warnings in New York, southern New York, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Virginia border there, I-85, South Hill, Virginia. And then we have those ones out west here, those severe thunderstorm warnings out west here, and flash flood warnings out west with the monsoonal season there in Arizona and also in Idaho and eastern Oregon. So there's been an update for you here. I just wanted to give you a brief update. This is the Weather Guru signing off. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest severe thunderstorm warnings and watches, as well as the local weather conditions in the U.S. and abroad. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you very soon.